Hello and welcome to the Dev Life, your show all about helping you live your ultimate developer lifestyle. My name is Brooke and this is my co-producer Matt. But this is the first episode and we just really wanted to introduce ourselves, kind of tell you a little bit more about what the Dev Life is about, and what you can expect from the show going forward. Yeah, Matt, let's kind of introduce ourselves. Let's let people know who we are. So, who is Matt?
Yeah, that's a good question. So my experience as an engineer has been about 15 years. And, back in the day when things were left justified and we were using Dreamweaver is when I started. And I I grew to love JavaScript frameworks, and eventually settled on Angular, fell in love with it. But kind of my professional development is an odd one. I was a CEO and CTO about 5 years ago.
Employees.
We built like 100 sites, and the truth is, it was the least happiest I'd ever been. I was just kind of going to the gym, wondering what was next, and I realized something that for me, life is most fulfilling when I'm coding and building something I believe in. So when Brooke told me about the Dev Life podcast, and I heard about this theme about how we can make our lives the best they can be, and code is can be a part of that. I got really excited about it, and I'm here now and currently working at Limble as a software engineer and doing what I can to share with other people and be involved with the community of development. So how about you, Brooke?
Well, I just have to say first too, like I think that's really cool because you have quite like you have a diverse background. So you're kind of coming at this with not just the software engineer perspective, but that entrepreneur perspective and like leadership. And I think it'll really add a lot of, great points and just that background experience on the show. For me, also coming from a different kind of background, I was actually a teacher. So my undergrad is in international business and had been working in that for a while, just wasn't feeling fulfilled. So I actually went back, got a master's degree in education, and did that for a number of years. But through that, I started getting into ed tech. And so it was more technology, and then discovered programming, and it was like this magic light bulb just went off for me. And I loved, like, I'm someone that loves to create and design things, and so when I was able to start, like, you know building a website and seeing what I could do, oh, I just fell in love with it. I loved it so much. So knew immediately that's what I wanted to do. uh, got involved, and yeah, I mean, I worked at a couple of companies before coming to Limble. That's how Matt and I met, was at Limble, but was hired as a software engineer with Limble. And then I've actually moved into a technical program manager position. So just kind of bringing in some of my other skills and interests. And, I've worked with a really big Angular conference called ng-conf, and learned a lot of like business to business things with that, or working with sponsors, working with different speakers, and really developed a huge passion for putting on events and organizing community and just bringing people together, like in the sake of learning and teaching. And once I had gotten more comfortable with just being an engineer, I started looking at how I could be doing other things as well. And so I actually am the founder, and one of the founders. I can't say it's just me. A friend of mine, uh, we both started this. It's an online meetup called the Angular Community Meetup, and it's just been tremendously fun. Matt is now part of the organizing committee. And then I got into podcasting as well. I have a really good friend, one of the owners of ng-conf, Joe Eames, got me into podcasting, and I was scared to death of doing it, but fell in love with that as well, and just find so much joy in this process of creating and all of that. So love to keep myself busy, obviously, but yeah, I mean, just kind of like a windy path to get here. But at the same time, I feel like it all has come together in a really kind of beautiful way, as far as life goes. So yeah, and just really excited to be doing this. But
Wow, that's so cool. You have such it's so interesting hearing how both of our backgrounds are just yeah, like you said, windy. You know,
right,
they led us to where we are now. We're still loving code, just in yet again a different role.
right, yeah. And that's what I
So
love about
yeah,
technology in this industry is that you really can fill different positions and yet still be part of that. Like
yeah,
I still feel very much like I can sit down and be like in the trenches with the devs. And it's just fun. It's just a fun process. But
yeah, and
so
it feels like the roles evolve and things change. You
oh
know,
yeah.
like technology itself is presenting different roles than what used to be the roles. You know, like
Yeah.
with
Well,
especially with AI.
I was just about to say that, especially with AI, I feel like the industry is just really in kind of a funky place almost and yet in fact, let's kind of get into that because I think that goes really well with, what is the purpose and mission of what we're doing here with the dev life? Like, what, if I ask you that question, why are we doing this? How would you answer that?
I think it's all about career growth and leadership for developers and other tech professionals at just about any stage of their career or wherever they are on that windy road.
Right.
And I think we're here to help them navigate and all of you listeners to navigate the challenges and opportunities that come with advancing in your tech career and do so while making life meaningful and hopefully enjoyable and fun too.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Bringing in that, that beachy vibe that we've kind of put on with our brand. But I totally agree. And it's been interesting because Matt and I have a lot of conversations where, we get into even like mental health and, things that aren't strictly technical. But that's the whole point of this show is that being a software engineer isn't just about the technical stuff. It's not just about learning new, skills or tools. It really is about the whole person. And that's what we really want to talk about here is, finding your place in all of this, but doing that in a really holistic type of way. And one way that we're going to do that is bringing in experts. We're going to share real world experiences and really getting into topics that matter to developers at every stage of the journey. So again, it's not just technical conversations, but it's really being a software engineer and that human aspect. That's what we really want to bring out here.
Absolutely. And I'm so excited for the future of this podcast. Brooke is the most connected person in the engineering world I have ever met. And I've met a lot of people, but I genuinely have never met anyone as well connected as Brooke. So we're going to have some really cool stuff ahead. But yeah, so if the mission and purpose is about career growth and achieving your ultimate dev life, what can you expect in terms of format and delivery?
I think we're going to drop, so like every week you can expect us to drop a new episode. So that'll be both audio only with the podcast, but then I really think that YouTube is a pretty cool place to have a podcast, right? Like that, there's that visual element to it. So we really wanted to do this in both places. We've got the YouTube and the audio. You can watch or listen, whichever is best for you. But we're going to be doing some episodes that'll be just the two of us and kind of using our personal backgrounds and the expertise that maybe we've gathered along the way. But for sure know that we don't know everything. That's too hard. So we're going to be bringing in a lot of industry experts, different leaders just to get their advice And hopefully, as we bring in people like members of the Angular core team, we can have some behind the scenes stories or, just personal, inspirational stories of people who've really had to fight to get where they are. But yeah, I think it's going to be great. We'll have a good variety and, different approaches to hopefully keep things fresh and exciting. So, yeah, that's kind of what we can expect. But we also really want to hear from you. And I think that'll be something that's really important for this show is that we know that this isn't just for us. We're doing this very much for our listeners. And so your voices are really important. So when we say to share your comments and your ideas below our videos, we really mean that. And we're going to read them. We're going to take them very seriously. So if you have suggestions of topics you'd like us to cover or anything like that, please leave that in the comments below our videos and just be sure to engage with us. But okay, so we've kind of talked about the mission, the format, how we're going to be doing this, but we also thought it'd be fun just to ask each other some questions back and forth, just so that you can get to know us a little bit more. And yeah, so I say we go get into that.
Awesome. So, Brooke, what motivated you to start this podcast with me?
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, first of all, like I said, I did come from a teaching background. So teaching and learning is just something I'm very passionate about. And then community building. Anytime we can like bring people together and, you know, I think have that shared common interest, those are all things that are really important to me. But there's something I think that is missing because there are already podcasts doing a lot of what we've talked about. But I do think that what's going to make us unique and what I don't see anyone else doing, and this is really the motivating factor for me, is that there's very little discussion about what I mentioned before, and that's that human aspect. I just don't see a lot of it. It's something that Matt and I have done at Limble at our job, but it's very much just kind of us. It's not something that's really part of the group culture. And I think a lot of people are a little bit hesitant to get into those topics. And yet, for me, I feel like when you start to bring in those human elements, that's when the real magic happens. So I want to bring that to our listeners, and I want to help other people really achieve happiness with their jobs and not just feel like they're going to their 9 to 5. But
I love that.
yeah. Okay, so then let's turn that around and ask you. So what are you most looking forward to in terms of sharing with our listeners?
Yeah, a lot of the same things. I actually, a few months ago, I was looking for a podcast to listen to kind of level up my skills, learn some new things while I'm driving in the car, because, I can't really read stuff, can't read documentation. Well, probably shouldn't read
Suppose
documentation.
you could.
Yeah, I suppose. Um, but I was just looking around listening to podcasts, and I felt like there was the podcasts I'd find would either be like talking about something like so specific and like granular that I couldn't apply it to myself, and like people would just be throwing these opinions out about this like super granular specific package of one piece of code, and and it felt too narrowed. Or I'd listen to one and just be like zoomed out and everything was vague. And so I'm looking forward, first and foremost, to having the guests we're going to have on this podcast that I know for a fact will be able to cover so many faucets of code, and they'll be able to bring in the big picture but also narrow it down to very applicable things for our viewers to level up skills, but also to keep it real and go into some, deeper discussions and keep it fun. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
love it.
So, what do you hope our audience will take away from this podcast?
Kind of similar to what I answered in my last answer, but kind of digging a little bit deeper into that is again, I really want to hit on like the mental and physical aspects because probably something I won't be super shy about is like I've had for the last 11 years these like really weird, unsolvable gut issues. And, it's really brought in a very interesting challenge in my life. And it's taken me to all sorts of depths with like mental health and, physical health, obviously. But I'm not alone in that. And I know that. And I know there are other people who are also dealing with different physical challenges or mental challenges. And I want to bring that into the show because I totally believe that despite our challenges, you can still find happiness. I really believe that. It's just a matter of learning the tools and the strategies to help you get there. And I want to share that. I want to share what I've learned. I know, Matt, you've had some very challenging things in your life as well. And I want to learn from you. I want to learn what has worked for you, what hasn't. So I think getting into things like that, I think can be really helpful. But another thing too, and I did barely mention this, is just I don't want people to feel like programming is a 9 to 5 anymore. Programming is fun. And I want to go back to that first time that I built a website and saw it. And there was that, like I said, that feeling of magic. And I think that's why every software engineer went into this career path, is because at some point they felt that. But I think it's so easy to forget that. And so I really want to bring that back into our episodes and our conversations and just help people to find their dev life. That's the whole point of our name and our vibe, is getting that beachy, laid back, just kind of chill. You've reached your ultimate place, your happy place. So that's what I'm wanting people to get out of the podcast. But okay, so then how do you think we've said a few things already, but how do you think our show is going to be different from other technical podcasts or YouTube channels?
Yeah, yeah, I think the same thing. We're gonna have that beach vibe. I know my office is a spaceship, but we're really on the beach here. Um, but yeah, like along the same lines, when I was a kid, I remember making this pretend conveyor belt that would like move cereal across the table or something like that. And I just had this dream of being an inventor, like from
Oh, cool.
Meet the Robinsons or whatever. And I found code and I started to realize that I could do that,
Mm,
like I started getting into game development, and started, building really cool websites and applications. And now at Limble, we're straight up making the software that makes
right.
conveyor belts move stuff down assembly lines. So it's really neat.
That's such a full circle moment.
Yeah.
How cool.
But that's where I think it's going to be different is we're really leaning into bringing back that inspiration and feeling of making a difference and keeping the big picture in the perspective, but we're not just gonna talk big picture. We're gonna go deep, and we're gonna have amazing guest speakers that are just going to um, just inspire us as the hosts. I'm sure so much, but hopefully everyone who listens to.
Yeah. So not to be feature factories, basically.
Yes.
That's cool. Love it.
And it's easy to feel like you're a feature factory unless you're looking at your what your code's actually doing. And I realized that even
Exactly.
working at Limble, like I just felt like I was building code, and then I went and visited one of our clients and saw the what it did, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. So I mean, there's a tidbit right there of finding inspiration.
Right.
Go see what your app and your code's actually doing, and you
How
might
it's
might find
changing people's
something.
lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you might also find that, you're doing something that you're not so happy or proud of. I've been there when, and that's why I sold I mean, my company did a lot of good, but I didn't get to entirely choose the direction. And sometimes we were building
Mm.
sites that I was like, oh, this is not what I want to, nothing crazy or bad, but it wasn't really where I wanted to spend all my efforts. And so that's partly why I sold my company. And I'm happy now to be focusing entirely on something that matters. So,
That's awesome.
yeah. But what kind of guests or topics are you most excited to have on the show, Brooke?
Oh my goodness. Wow, that's hard to answer because I like, first of all, I want to really diversify our guest list. Like, yes, I want industry experts. I want people that, you may see on a conference lineup at just about every conference, or maybe they're on podcasts a lot. Like, yes, there's a reason that they're commonly being interviewed or giving talks. So, yes, let's bring them in because they're experts for a reason. But I also want to hear from everyday developers. Like, there are some people whose stories are just incredible. I was just at Google I/O and met this 23-year-old from India, and her story was mind-blowing. And honestly, I think we should bring her on the show and have her share. I mean, she didn't even have money to buy a book. And so the fact that she was able to pick up this one book by a professor in Montreal who's really had a huge hand in AI and machine learning, she found this book and she'd print 50 pages at a time and then read those 50 pages until she could go back and make another 50 pages. And then she goes to Canada just to meet this author with $20 in her pocket.
Wow.
And now she's working at Amazon. I mean, it just is like those are the stories I want to hear. How did you do it? How did you get there? So definitely inspirational stories behind the scenes, like we mentioned. So lots of diversity. As far as topics, yes, I enjoy technical conversations. I really geek out when I see, like I said, I was just at Google I/O and I sat there and just was like, I was messaging Matt like every time they'd mention some new feature, I'd be like, guess what? So I understand like geeking out on the new things that are coming out, but um I mentioned before, some of my greatest growth and happiness has come as I've worked on my mental health or my physical health. So these are things I want to bring into our topics as well and help other people achieve that success. Like it's amazing what you really can achieve when you start to change the way you see things. And I want other people to find that kind of happiness and success. And so that really is what I want to accomplish here is helping other people find that. But
I love that.
yeah. All right. So then what advice would you give to developers who are looking to grow in their careers?
That is a good question. And it goes very along with what you were just saying, Brooke. And that is get so excited about the new stuff. Ride the waves because waves keep coming. And in tech, if you don't ride the wave, like if I didn't ride the wave, I'd still be in Dreamweaver writing left justified HTML,
I mean, you can always do that.
Yeah, there's some jobs that work, there's some places still using, like COBOL and whatever, like
Yeah, yeah.
so, but I'd say riding the wave is a good move for growth and but also probably job security. And what's the biggest wave right now I can think of is AI. So
Yeah.
I would say, if you don't have it right now, go download an AI IDE. A good one that we use is called Cursor. There's a lot out there. Just Google search, you know, IDE that helps you use AI. I probably wouldn't be doing it just straight in ChatGPT because you lose the context. And try it out, get really good at it. But at the same time, I would highly encourage to avoid becoming entirely dependent on it because it's important as an engineer to also understand what you're doing and build the base skills. Fortunately, if you don't understand something, now you can even ask AI to explain it to you. So
Right.
it's a lot easier, I think, to learn now with AI than it
Oh
used
yeah.
to be.
That has been for me one of the most exciting parts about it is it's like having a tutor or a teacher like right over your shoulder all the time.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
love it. But I have a question for you, Brooke, and that
Okay.
is this. If you were talking to a developer who is feeling burnt out but loves to
Ah.
code, what advice would you give them to help them improve their lifestyle as a developer?
Burnout is a real thing for sure. And this, like, I am someone that has a hard time saying no to really cool projects. So, like, hence I've got this podcast and the meetup, and now Matt and I are starting a GDG in-person gathering. We're going to be doing conferences. Wow, it's a lot. So burnout, I have encountered a few times in my life, I'll say. But I think really first thing first is like acknowledge that it is real and that it's okay. It's okay to be burnt out. I also believe in things like seasonal uh, depression even or seasonal like energy. I come alive in the summer. I just do. I'm a summer baby and I totally think that sun is this it just energizes me. So like I get that and I think these are all very valid things. So acknowledge those, be okay with feeling burnt out, and be okay saying no to other people because when you say no to others, you're saying yes to you. So I think that's the first thing I'd say. But also, and this is kind of counterintuitive because usually when someone says that they're burnt out, the last thing you would say is, well, go make yourself busier. But I do believe that when you contribute to things that are larger than you, and when you have a purpose and when you're helping other people, it brings a sense of I guess I'm going to use the word joy and fulfillment that you don't otherwise get. And somehow that feeling of being burnt out just sort of like maybe it doesn't all the way go away, but it definitely helps. So find ways that you can contribute or collaborate with others, be it a side project or get involved with meetups or something, but just go learn something new. Maybe it doesn't have to be a grand thing where you're out, you know, organizing something or whatever, but like take some courses, do something that really excites you. And I think that that can really help with feeling less burnt out. So, yeah, I'd say both of those together.
I love that.
But
I love that.
yeah.
Yeah. I feel like my experience, when I was a CTO and an employee was burnt out, was it was one of two things usually. There could be a lot of things. I don't want to put it in a box, but um, one thing is balance. And I think a healthy balance is like it's a balance of meaning and joy and fun. And so if you're just doing meaningful stuff like 100% of the time, then you know your body might say, "Oh my gosh, I need to relax for a second."
Yeah.
But if you're just doing purely fun stuff like I did for those years after selling my company, it goes south and you feel kind of lost. And I think a healthy balance percent
Yeah.
wise is maybe 70% meaning, 30% fun. And so as a developer, if you're just if you take a minute take 3 minutes every seven, maybe not in that exact order because you got to get in the zone, right? But
Yeah.
but reward yourself and make sure that you're taking some time for you, but also keep that 70% meaning, and you will look back, I think, with more fulfillment on your life with that. But moving on to, I guess, the final question of the day. Brooke, how can our listeners get involved or connect with us?
All right. Well, I've mentioned it before. So we do have this YouTube channel, and we would love for people to be commenting on our videos, sharing your ideas, your thoughts. Tell us what you agree with, what you disagree with, all of it. Also, though, I've mentioned this meetup that we do, the Angular Community Meetup. We do these monthly. They're free online. You can find us at meetup.com and just look for Angular Community Meetup. But come hang out with us. We have industry experts come and do workshops and hands-on learning. Like I said, it's all free. So come and enjoy that. Learn from these experts, but say hi to us while you're there. Get to know us. Uh, So those are a couple of really great places. I also mentioned, we've got this GDG thing. So if you're in the Salt Lake area, then you could come meet us in person. Or if we have like a Dev Fest event going on, you could fly in for that. So, we're in person, we're online. Either way, I think is great. You can always look up our LinkedIn profiles, message us there, but interact with us. I think we're totally open to hearing from all of you and just so excited to get going. This is really a project that I have been wanting to do. I've podcasted before, but I will tell you that it does not happen every day to find someone who's worth doing this kind of project with. And the moment I met Matt, I knew he was such a just a different kind of person. And the more that we've worked together on different projects at Limble, he just consistently stands out and above other people. So, when it came time to choosing if this was the right time, if I wanted to get back into it, there was no doubt in my mind. And I think we're both just so eager to get going and share what we can. So, yeah. But any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, no, I think the same thing. It was a no-brainer at all for me to join this podcast. First of all, Brooke is amazing. And she has so much insight and wisdom, and Brooke alluded to it, and we'll get more into this in the future, but what she shared with me, and the advice she's given me has helped me a lot with challenges and stuff I've gone through, of the most difficult level imaginable. And I'm excited that we might be able to help some people going through things down the road. I'm so excited for the guest list. I know we've said this a lot, but Brooke has some people lined up that I am telling you are the cream of the crop. So we are going to have some amazing guest speakers.
Do you want to give a
And
sneak peek at who we have coming up?
I will just say a couple words. Have you read The Pragmatic Programmer? um, and do you watch the Google I/O conferences and the Angular release meetings? Because you might see some people in those that are ahead. Little spoiler there, I guess. But yeah, in conclusion, like and subscribe. Please follow because so much good stuff ahead. We can't wait to hear your feedback and keep calm and code on. This is the Dev Life.